What AI gives us is 80% of the work, if we do it right, and allows us to put the strategic endpoints on things to go faster. So every single one of us have this superpower now, if we choose to use it. Over the last year, there's this thing that's come out inside of the world that everyone knows about and we've all talked about, and it's called AI, right? AI. And literally before this meeting, I thought to myself, I wonder if I could just quickly come up with an image that would kind of capture progressive people coming together to learn about the concepts of the future so we can bring it into the reality right now and stay ahead of the curve. And so when I think about where we've come from and where we are now, do you know, like, there's this word that I feel like, and it's called transition. And one of the constants that we have in our lives and in the world is change, right? Change is always a constant, whether you like it or not, whether you don't like it or not. What change forces us to do is it forces us to look at who we are now and who we want to become. And the choices that we make and the decisions that we make now will ultimately determine whether the change that is always going to come our way, whether you like it or not, is something that we ride and we use it to our advantage, or whether we resist it and we let change wipe us out. And that's a really strong word, isn't it? Wipe us out. But if I look at what wiping out means, it means relevance. And the only way to stay relevant in a marketplace, and the only way to stay relevant in a role or stay relevant in business, is to make sure that what you do has demand, and what you do gets a result, and what you do people enjoy. And so can you imagine years ago when everyone was riding a horse, and we were riding horses and we thought that fastest way to travel is by horse. And so at the time, the person who had the most horses was the person who was the most wealthy, because if you had horse, and that's why they still call it to this day in a car, horsepower. If you had a horse, you could travel great distances in less time. And so people would look at you and think, wow, amazing. And then ultimately over time, what someone decided to do was put something on the back of a horse, like a cart, because then they could carry more. So the value of a horse became even more valuable, because now you could put two horses in front and carry a bigger cart, which means now you could actually do more, and you could carry more, and you could have more resources, and you could carry it from point A to point B. And then someone decided, let's make an even faster cart. And then there was 4 horses that carried the cart, a bigger cart. But ultimately it got so big that people were like, this is probably not working. And someone decided to invent a car. And Henry Ford invented this car, and he was the first person to invent the production line. And the production line was the thing that enabled manufacturing to occur, and manufacturing revolutionized industry. So people were put on production lines to do one job really well, and the sum of all parts created a car. And when you start thinking of that, can you imagine the people who were really, they looked at horses and they're like, I don't think this car thing's going to take off. I'm just going to get more horses. And then the first person that ever drove a car would have been really wealthy, and everyone's like, wow, amazing. They've got this car. Amazing. Like that, this is almost like we're seeing into the future. And then slowly but surely, there was more cars, and then less horses. And it was the person who had a horse that was actually seen as poor or not as wealthy, because they couldn't afford a car. But just 10 years ago, that same person was seen as wealthy and advanced because he had horses, or they had horses. So you have these cars now. So everyone's like, these cars are amazing. Then there was faster cars with more horsepower, more cylinders, right? And it took the invention of these cars to create new levels of transportation. And then obviously that changed industry. And then you zoom back over the last 10 years, right? When I first started in business, there was no social media. And I remember the thing that we would do to stay competitive is we would have to get flyers and we'd run around and we'd put them in people's letterboxes. That was our horse, right? The manual work. And I would literally walk around for 2 hours every morning with flyers for my business and I'd put them into people's letterboxes. Or I would get people on the street. I'd have my little notepad and I'd walk up to people and say, hey, my name's Rana. I have a personal training studio down the road. I'd love to offer you a free trial and to see and show you around. Would that be something you'd be interested in? And I'd write down their details and I'd do the old manual phone thing. And then social media came on and everyone's like, social media? Well, even go back, internet. People are like, oh, this internet thing's not going to work. It's dumb. Internet, then social media. And now we're at another really important transition, guys. And I just want to say this, and I can't stress this enough, is that whether you like AI or not, whether you're in graphics, whether you're in operations, whether you're in design, whether you're in media, whatever it is, I want you to know that if you decide to stay on the horse, AI is going to build a far better car. And you're going to be left on a horse less relevant and therefore redundant because you've decided not to change. We have decided to stay relevant. So a lot of our resources and a lot of our time, whether we like it or not, are being put into discovering what AI can do for us to help us move faster and actually reinvent parts of our business so we can achieve more output in less time. And so if you're in graphics, for example, your skills are not redundant because you should be able to use AI to create images that you can then finish off. So AI does 80% of the work and you can do 20% of the finishing. It's the same with editing and operations and design and information and writing and transcription and video editing, right? What AI gives us is 80% of the work if we do it right and allows us to put the strategic endpoints on things to go faster. So every single one of us have this superpower now if we choose to use it. And there's these things like AI voice, and there's these things like where artificial general intelligence will start to emerge, and that's going to affect all of us for the better, I think, and I believe, if we understand how to use it. We all have to have a culture where AI becomes a part of what we do and how we do it. So when I think about how the year started off for me and our company, what I start thinking of is opportunity. And the reason why things are hectic and the reason why things move fast is because the world is moving faster now, because things can happen quicker thanks to AI, or maybe in some cases not thanks to AI, right? It's been about adapting. And right now with AI and all these opportunities, it's about adapting. If anything, we've survived some of the biggest economic and global challenges on earth and always come out better.